All right, a bit of not good news for people with kids. Millions of American families with children got an award, a reward, a bonus, a hand up, something that every family with children in this country deserves, and that was the 15th of the month. It took on a special significance in 2021 because that was the day that families with children received their monthly child benefit. That was part of Joe Biden's response to the pandemic. Consider that with that filthy, rotten lump of Donald Trump. Now, the payments started last July and amounted to hundreds of dollars a month for the families that qualified for this. And those payments helped millions of American families pay for, not Cadillacs and trips to the Bahamas, but for food, for rent, for childcare. And it kept, and this is the most important thing, honest to God, it kept millions of children out of poverty. And in that process, it also injected billions of dollars into the U.S. economy. That's according to data that have been studied now, that this thing had 6 months to run, and independent research, government data and independent research. But now, that benefit, which was an expansion of the existing child tax credit that families with children can apply for on their income tax returns every year. But that benefit is ending. It's over. And what an opportune time, huh? He said in his most sarcastic way. Just as the latest wave of coronavirus cases is keeping people home from work and threatening to set off a whole new round of jobs, business places that are furloughing workers because of this pandemic. And right at that moment, you see, the child credit, the child benefit has disappeared. Economists are warning now that 1-2 punch of the aid, those monthly checks going away, and rising cases of COVID could do a couple of things. First of all, put a chill on the economic recovery that has been, I don't care what the Christian fascists tell you, but the economic recovery has been clipping along at a very healthy rate. So that's the first thing it could bring an end to. But the other thing is it's going to cause severe hardship for millions of families who are already living very close to the poverty line. Now, I know the fascist Christians in this country don't give a shit. Who was it, one of those lard-ass Christian preachers who said once, if they can't get a job, let them starve? Who was that? You remember that bastard. So quoted in this article in the Times about this is a mother of 2 young children in Huntington, West Virginia. Her name is Anna Lara. And she says, quote, it's going to be hard next month. And just thinking about it makes me want to bite my nails to the quick. Honestly, it's going to be scary. It's going to be hard going back to not having it, end quote. Yeah, for real. This woman is 32 years old. She lost her job in the pandemic. And with this rising cost of childcare and the fact that we don't have adequate childcare available in this country, we just don't have it. That's no offense to childcare workers, but we don't pay them enough. The for-profit companies that run childcare are poorly run. We know this. Come on, we all know this. But Ms. Lara, the person I'm quoting, 32 years old, lost her job in the pandemic. She's not been able to return to work. Her partner kept his job, but the child benefit helped this couple with their 2 kids make ends meet at a time of obviously reduced income, rising prices, this inflation that is caused by, who knows, just greed, in my opinion. No, seriously. I know I'm not an economist, and I sure as hell don't sound like one, but whatever. Anyway, this mom said Miss Laura said, quote, "Your children watch you, and if you worry, they catch on to that. With that extra cushion, that check, we didn't have to worry all the time." Jesus Christ, this is America, right? Isn't it? Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. Shit. So the end of this extra assistance for parents can be defined, and the Times defines it as such, as the latest in a long line of benefits cliffs over which Americans have fallen as pandemic aid programs have expired. Remember, we had the Paycheck Protection Program, which supported hundreds of thousands of small businesses. That ended almost a year ago, back in March. And then we had expanded unemployment benefits. Remember that? That ended last September. And in some states, it ended earlier. The federal eviction moratorium that stopped people from being thrown out of their apartments or having foreclosure on their houses, that expired last summer. And the last round of stimulus payments, remember those? They landed in Americans' bank accounts last spring. So here we are. Relative to those programs, the rollback in child tax credits is in fact small. The Treasury Department paid out about $80 billion over 6 months, and that was in the form of checks and direct deposits of up to $300 per child per month. It could have been much less than that. A lot of instances it was. I think it was in part based on the parents' tax returns from the previous year. But that is $80 billion over 6 months. That's a lot less than the more than $240 billion in stimulus payments that was issued on a single day last March. And all of that money helped. Where does the money go? It stays right here. It recirculates. It provides employment. It provides production. It provides sustainability for families. But now it's stopped. And as the Times reports, unlike most other programs created in response to the pandemic after the orange vomit was kicked to the curb, the child benefit was never intended to be temporary. That at least that's according to the people, its backers in Congress. Congress approved it for a single year as part of the, if you remember, the 1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. But the progressives in Congress, in the Democratic Party, hoped that the payments, once started, would prove too popular to stop. And they should have been. They are popular. Too popular to stop. But that doesn't mean shit in a capitalist society that is being devoured by fascist Christianity. It doesn't mean a thing. That didn't happen. And according to Times, polls found that the public was roughly divided over whether the program should be extended. The opinions split along partisan and generational lines. Of course, the Christian fascists will tell you, fuck them. If the parents can't provide for the kids, why do they have the kids? You've heard that before. Son of a bitches. And the expanded tax credit failed to win over the one individual out of 340 million of us, 340 million of us, there's one person whose opinion really mattered, and that was that rotten son of a bitch Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, who said he was concerned over the cost and structure of the program, and he decided to oppose all of it. Biden's climate policy, the social policy, the tax policy. That bill, known as the Build Back Better Act, cannot proceed in the Senate without Manchin's support. And the irony to me is what the hell are his people doing back in West Virginia? West Virginia is one of the states most dependent on handouts. I hate to put it that way, but what the hell? That's exactly what it is, government handout. Here, take this check. Take it for unemployment. Take it for medical reasons. Take it for child support reasons. Take it for this. Take it for that. But here, take it. And the people of West Virginia are some of those folks in this country who are first in line to get these handouts. And Manchin knows this, but he doesn't give a fuck about his constituents in West Virginia. The only people he cares about are the people who provide him with the millions of dollars he needs to stay in office. And lately, that has come to include all sorts of Republican organizations who just get a kick, a visceral thrill out of seeing people hungry, unable to get medical care, being thrown out of their houses, losing jobs. They love it. The Christian fascists love it. God. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.